Greetings, everybody. Monday, October 1st, and we are talking about the topic older women marrying younger men. I have a series of questions that I'm going to ask you just to help me organize my own thoughts. I'm going to wait a little bit to see if anyone joins me, but I'm also going to begin if no one else does. I'm going to schedule these lives. I'll let people know when I'm going to go live, but I had to have this conversation. And this one is it's sort of two-tiered because I'm looking at the question of older women marrying younger men, and that's going to be sort of intertwined with the idea of, is it stupid for an older woman and an older woman in her 40s, up to 50, to marry younger men? And especially not just marrying him, but being responsible for him to sponsor him to wherever country she lives. I'm giving this a little time. Perhaps some notification might go out and someone might join me. Should an older woman marry a younger man? This is the question. Okay, so first thing first, I've got to say this. There's always biases where women are concerned and these double standards in society that I just don't like. When you think about age difference between most women, husband is older. The majority, especially in Jamaica, majority of women marry older guys, and it's okay. You'll see women as young as 25 dating men 50 years old, and no one has anything to say about it. Jamaica is a place where pedophilia is ripe, and as long as the man is wealthy, there is not a problem. And I think that's the double standard. I mean, age difference and age gap it doesn't really matter as far as I'm concerned, because if the 50-year-old man is allowed to date the 20-year-old girl, I don't see the difference. I don't see anywhere in any manual where it says that men can do it and women can't. It just doesn't really make any sense to me. It's an issue, and especially with this new climate of younger men killing women, older women, it would seem like, just marrying a younger guy automatically means danger, and I don't think that's true. But there are a lot of things to consider when somebody decides that they're going to marry anyone. Long distance relationship as they are very, very difficult. But age gap too, of course, you find yourself in different eras. It can be very difficult, but it can work. If it works for the man, I don't see why it can't work for the female. Okay, so there are do's and don'ts in these types of relationship. I'm not going to speak about the men because we're so accustomed to that. We justify it. We celebrate it. Again, if the man is wealthy, oh yes, it's okay for him to do that. But if the woman, even if she's wealthy, it is taboo. I also want to say that there's some younger women who really take offense to it too. They take it very personal because some of these younger women feel like the older woman is taking away any possible chance they have to find a mate, because the old idea that men are short. But I want to say that depending on the circumstance of the older woman, who might very well even look younger than some of these girls, and they're mature, there are younger guys who prefer dating older women, not because they want anything else from them but companionship. So it can work. The younger women who are offended, I can understand. But I have to also say and repeat that there are some older women, depending on how they have lived their life, they may they may, you know, be more chaste than some of these young girls. My husband is 10 years younger than I am. We've been together for 12 years. And I had a previous relationship. I was single for 10 years. And I guarantee you, by the time we got together, I wouldn't have had more relationship than him. And at that time, I am absolutely sure that there were girls that were much younger than me that were more sexually active than I was. So people tend to look at that to say the older woman is marrying the younger man to spoil him. And some of these younger men actually have more sexual experience than some of these older women that actually marry them. Not every older woman that marries a younger guy is desperate and was out looking for a man, because that was not my case. And I'm sure that other women would say to themselves, no, there are actually older women who meet a guy who's younger. She actually likes him, but the age difference turn her off. And sometimes these guys are the ones who pursue these women relentlessly for a long time. So not every older woman is so desperate that she's out there looking for a younger boy to just, consume. Things happen. Circumstances bring people together. There are do's or don'ts, though, as I said previously. And it's that if the female is of childbearing age, then, they can have children. And if the man doesn't have any kids, they have to have a very serious conversation. Serious conversation in the sense that if you are an older woman and you're not planning to have more kids, and your husband, is a young guy and he has no kids, it's very selfish to enter into this relationship with this young man, knowing that you can't give him children and he can't have one. And it's very unrealistic that you're going to think that I'm going to marry this young boy and I can't bear him any children, and that relationship is going to stay in such a way that he's going to be faithful. So you're going to have this conversation with this younger man. If you're not of childbearing age, you're going to have to ask him about adoption if both of you are agreeing to adoption. And even that is sketchy, because a man might say, I'm going to be open to adoption, just because he wants to get together with the older woman. And then later on, he uses that as an excuse to break up with her. Are you going to adopt kids? Are you going to go into surrogacy? Are you going to have an open relationship where you allow this younger man to date other women who can bear fruit and give him children? How many women are able to do this? And how many younger men are going to agree to this? Because a lot of time when the younger men go with older men, they tell you they're so much in love with you. We've got to stop falling in love with people, whether male or female, with this bag of emotional thing. The relationship with all this emotion and all these unrealistic feelings doesn't really make any sense to me. Is there anyone here who want to say something, who have a question for me? I'm looking at some questions that I'm trying to answer. Hi, Mikey Davis. Do you have any questions for me? You see the topic that I'm talking about, older women marrying younger men. Taboo. It's taboo. And I have a problem with it, not because I'm involved in a relationship that is, where an older woman is married to a younger man, but taboo in the sense that why is it okay for an old man to marry a young girl and society has no issue with it? Right? But why is it a problem? It's the same age difference. So if I am 30 years older than a man, what difference is it with the man who is 30 years older than the female? The only difference in that case is in the male can produce children for the rest of his life. But greetings, DJ. But what's the big deal? So because of what's going on with the violence towards women now and these older men that are marrying for papers, everybody is saying to women who have chosen to share their life with a younger man, that she's careless, she's stupid to marry this person. But I think we should be careful about how we do that. So as I said earlier, when you're older and you're marrying a younger guy, you have to have this serious conversation. There can't be any kind of, you know, fantasy. We're dealing with reality in this case. So are you going to have an open relationship? Are you going to adopt? Are you going to have a surrogacy? Are you going to agree to have this open relationship? Is the man looking for a sugar mama? Is this younger guy? Why does this younger guy want to marry our older woman? This is a question that the female has to ask herself. I'm not talking about men who are marrying younger girls because it's the same difference to me. But I'm talking about all these women who are coming out and saying, well, the one got killed by a younger man and she was asking for it. That's not right. That's not fair. It isn't fair. So is the man looking for a sugar mama? Because a lot of young girls are looking for a sugar daddy, and nobody seems to have a problem with that. And is the woman who is marrying this younger man, is she okay with being a sugar mama? Because there are some older men who don't mind being a sugar mama. A lot of these wealthy old men who end up with these young girls who are like trophies on their arm, they know the women are involved with them for their money and they don't mind. There are women, I think, who don't mind either. Right? Do you have young children? And what are the sex of your kids? Now, this is a very good question because as an older woman with kids, especially, it doesn't matter nowadays, but a girl, say I have young girls and I'm going to marry a younger guy, you have to face the reality that there's a possibility when you merge your family, if the person you're marrying, you do not know him, and the person you're marrying is not an upright person, the person is not a decent human being, there's a possibility that man will enter your household and try to molest your children. But the same is true, right, for a girl who might have had a baby before she met this older man and he could do the same, right? So these are questions you ask yourself. Are they old enough to tell you if your man violates them? So yes, we're having this conversation. You're supposed to have this conversation. And if you're a woman who doesn't have any kids, are you sitting down and asking this man, what's so special about me? Why would you want to be with me when there are a million other young women for you to be with? Okay, so are you filling his mind with unrealistic expectations? And is this younger man doing the same for you? A younger man saying, I don't want kids. I'm okay if you don't have kids. It's a lie. More than likely, it's a lie if he says, I don't want kids. Or maybe at the time, he doesn't want kids, but that will change eventually. Is there anyone here who know of someone who is in one of those relationships where the woman is older? And is it working? Do you think it can work? Do you think it's stupid for an older woman to get involved with a younger man within a 10-year age difference? And I've had conversations about this with women who are in their 60s, married guys who are in their 20s. And I'm thinking, well, if you do that, it is a gamble. But as long as you're adults and you understand the ramification of doing this, I personally have no problem with it. Does he have kids? And are you planning to integrate your relationship? So we come down to the point where you meet someone, he's a much younger guy, he has kids from a previous relationship, and he says, I don't care if you have kids because I have my own kids and we can't have any together. But the truth is, and I'm speaking from experience, there's someone recently who, brought someone from Jamaica. He had kids from a previous relationship and she has kids with him. But him and his partner in Jamaica are still very much together. And it was all a plot and a plan to just get him here and then he could take his partner. How close? The question is, how close is he to his ex? Or do they have a healthy co-parenting relationship? And so on and so forth. Anybody has any question? Anyone? Mike here is still there. DJ, are you still there? Do you have a problem? Well, I think you're saying yes. I agree with you 100%. Mikey, do you think it is wrong for an older woman to date a younger man? Do you think it can work? And here's another thing. I agree with you, but sometimes after time, we older women want to get out of the relationship. We then realize it's not right, so we want to get out. And the younger man said that's not going to happen. Okay, that happens. Jealousy. Sometimes you see, people always assume that it's the older woman who is clingy and want to stay with the man, but sometimes that younger guy is attached. He's very attached, and now she feels, in my own personal situation, I remember when I met my husband, and I didn't know of our age difference because he looked a lot older, but I saw that he was getting closer to me than I was getting to him emotionally, and I didn't want to hurt anyone, and I wasn't sure what. I was not interested in starting a relationship with anybody at all, so I tried to distance myself from him. Yeah, I tried to distance myself from him to make sure that this is something that I wanted. It's not like every old woman is so desperate that she's just rushing out here to chase after a young man, you know, and that every younger man is just going after the older one because he's looking for a sugar mama. It's not always the case. Can marriages with this large age group difference work? They can work. But the truth is, it's a lot of work. Now, Mickey, or is it Mikey? Do you find that if being in a relationship with a younger person, the difference, the gap in your age difference, does that create problems in the relationship? Oh wow, really, DJ? What happened? Why was it such a terrible situation for her? Was he jealous? Was he insecure? See, oftentimes people think it's the older woman that is insecure. And sometimes it's a man, the young man. And some of these younger guys will chase a female down relentlessly. It's not always because the woman is desperate and lonely why she falls for a younger guy. Sometimes she fights against it. She's not interested. She tries to run away. But I think some relationships are designed to be. It's okay in the beginning. I don't know how long it can last. Can you expound on that a little bit for me, Alpha, Eve? And again, the age difference does make a difference, but what do you say? Why do you say that? It's okay in the beginning. I mean, there are going to be insecurities, either from the female or from the male. If you're rushing to things, it doesn't really help either. Because again, if it's in a long distance situation, you find that the lady is going to marry him because she wants this guy to join her. And then, after she marries him, she finds out that, okay, this is not who I want to be with. Or she finds out that he doesn't really want to be with her. After a time, when I looked at the age difference, I feel bad. So that makes me ignorant. I want to get out. You feel bad, you're embarrassed, or you're feeling guilty. Okay, that was a problem with it. Okay. But that could happen in any situation. They could be the same age and the man is just a a person who just run around and sleep around and is careless with his seed and doesn't care who he gets pregnant. So I don't think it's just because the lady was older. Okay, you're guilty and embarrassed. Okay. Yes, because again, society really make it hard for us to have this relationship and without feeling like you're doing something wrong. My father was embarrassed by the age difference. What was the age difference, DJ? So the father was younger and the mother was older. What was the difference? Yeah, but I think I feel some kind of resentment when I hear an older guy, some guy 15, 12 years older than his girlfriend or his wife, talking about a woman who's older. It's the same thing for you. This chat keeps going off. Hopefully it comes back again. It's the same. It's if you're 30 and you're male and your girlfriend is 20, and vice versa, the woman is 30 and our boyfriend is 20. It's the same thing. How is your situation different from the female. Is she feeling embarrassed? Why? Okay, she was 13 years older. Okay, it's going to be fun in the beginning, but when I'm 50 and he's 37, will he still find me attractive? It would be the same if you marry a guy who's the same age as you, and maybe certain circumstances or illness affects you, and it kind of plays havoc on your face or on your body, and you start aging because of that. It's the same if someone loves you. It doesn't really matter what changes occur in your body if the person genuinely loves you. Now I know you're conscious of that to say, well, I'm gonna be embarrassed. Usually in the beginning of the relationship, if the husband is embarrassed or the boyfriend at the time is embarrassed because of your age difference, it's gonna show then. Just yesterday I saw a black guy walking with this older white woman in the supermarket, and it was very obvious that he was ashamed of her. I mean, there seemed to have been a 15 to 20 years difference, and he's hiding. I go home on vacation and I see, young black guys dating these older women, and the woman is walking a mile ahead of him. So when they get married and that happens, the signs were already there. She never had any children of her own. Okay. Well, there you go. She has no kids of her own, and perhaps they couldn't have any together. You have to have those realistic conversations. You have to sit the person down and say, I can't give you children. So, you have to be truthful with yourself. I can't give you children. So what's going to happen? And any woman who says it's okay not to be able to give you a child and the person doesn't have one, and the man convinces her that he doesn't want any kids, then I don't know, you're just fooling yourself. All I'm saying is, I'm not going to be made to feel ashamed or guilty for marrying a younger man. And I know my husband, certainly, after 12 years of being together, growing to know each other more and more, have a bond that is very tight. It started out with this open communication. That's very important. And just keeping it real, having that real conversation with the man to say, look here, I am older. And if we both have decided that we're not going to allow this age difference to separate us for whatever reason, you feel like, God brought you together or nature brought you together, whatever it is you believe in. And you have tested and tried your relationship, and you see that, you're getting closer instead of being separate. Okay. So in the end, DJ, did they get a divorce or did she just stay with him? Okay. It's a topic that's going around, and it's a topic that I want to discuss with other women who are considering entering a relationship with someone, or someone who is already in that relationship, to say that marrying somebody who's younger than yourself, it's possible that it can work. If it works for men, it can work for women too. It's not a thing for you to be ashamed of. If both of you care enough and love enough to say each other enough to say that this is our life together, we don't care what anybody else says. In my case, I could not afford not to find out, because after a period of time, I felt within myself that it was meant to be. I didn't believe in soulmates because that's foolishness. I believe that if you're in a relationship, you have to make a vested interest in you working things out, having open conversation. Alpha, I don't think it's just the cheating thing because of the age difference, because that man more than likely, if he got a younger girl or someone his age, he was going to cheat. Some are saying the age difference between the 47-year-old woman and the 30-year-old guy plays part in him killing her. I don't agree. I'm glad you brought that up. I do not agree. I do not agree on that. I don't see how the age difference. So that may okay. So that the age difference was what, 17 years. But I know someone else who is that age difference, and they're very close, and the man is not trying to kill her. You know, it's the thing is, in that case, let's talk about that scenario. And I'm glad you brought it up. That 30-year-old guy is a violent person. From the day she met him, she always knew. I don't know them personally, but I'm sure that you don't just snap like that. If you listen to the way he talks in that voice note, that guy is a narcissist. And at some point in their relationship, she would have seen that. She would have seen him volatile. She would have seen him violent. That's why I would say to older women, you marry this younger guy. First of all, is he possessive? Is he someone when you're with him, he just wants you all to himself? It's just like anybody in any relationship where the man really is violent, or the man is, so possessive. The older woman, depending on her circumstances and depending on how desperate she was to find a man, she might think this is a good thing, but it could have been a symbol, a sign that that's not healthy. I don't think he killed her because he was 17 years older. Because why? Is he upset because she's leaving him? Why would he kill her? Because there's that age difference. Because the truth is, there are guys who are younger, who are very mature in their mind. That does any problems I have in my relationship with my husband, who I am 10 years older than, has nothing to do with our age difference. Nothing at all. It's just having two human beings living together in the same household, and you're gonna have conflict with sometimes foolishness, not the age difference. Otherwise, I don't think I would have, because if the person did show a kind of maturity, to where I could communicate with this person. The thing is, what do you have in common with this person? That's the question you have to ask yourself in the beginning. Exactly. They are, in general, men can be very charming. The thing that they use to get you to fall in love with them, when they stop giving that to you and they fail to understand that the thing you use to hold the woman and catch the woman is the very same thing you are going to have to use to keep her. So you're charming and you're kind and you're loving and you're gentle. And then you stop doing those things. It doesn't matter if she's 50 years old or she's 20, she's going to fall out of love with you. Can the relationship survive? Can you have a healthy? Yes, you can. We have one child together, and I didn't have any intention of having more children, but because he didn't have kids, well, I said, okay, we'll have another child together. I wouldn't have married him if that was not something I could do. And it doesn't matter, giving him a child doesn't mean that he wouldn't go out and have an affair and have other kids. But I don't think it's because of our age difference. I would think it's because of his integrity. He's not a man of his word, or if you grow apart, that happens. You have to be realistic to say, okay, then, the age poses a gap. The age difference poses, a problem. And yeah, the woman might not even want to be with him either, because over time, at the time, she might be fascinated with him and he might seem mature, and then he stopped growing. She come to her realization, and I think in my heart she was going back to her baby father, who was in her age group, and he snapped. Well, that would be a reason, as opposed to the age difference. That if she had this man and this young man, and she became like a mother to him, and then she was leaving him, that would be like a kind of betrayal, because you have to look at history too. You don't know what was going on in this man's life before. You don't know how he responds to rejection, if that was true that she was leaving him. Perhaps this mother figure is someone that, when she was with him, she took care of him, she provided for him, supported him in such a way, she spoiled him. And this is what happens sometimes with older women when they're getting involved with these guys. They start playing the role of mother. And you're going to always be playing the role of mother if that's how you start out. And then I think what I blame a lot of women for, and it's not just the age different thing I'm looking at in this video, in this live, you can't meet someone, a younger man or older man in a long distance relationship, and start bearing all their burdens and start giving them the impression that you're supposed to take care of them. The question is, how are you going to sit down and say, what is your long-term goal? How are we going to merge our finances? What is expected of you in the long run? And in the guy's case who killed this woman, if she spoiled him for years and took care of him, and then he feels that she's going to abandon him, he could snap too. In his voice note, he talked about trying to walk away from the situation. It's hard to talk about that without knowing the details. I can't bear any more kids, so I have to be with a man who already have kids and will accept me. Of course. Of course. And if you can't have any more kids, you can't get involved with a younger man who has no kids without having that conversation about saying, okay, are you going to be in an open relationship where he can go out and have children with someone else? You just have to be realistic about it. She was going back to him because of the constant cheating her husband was doing. So she realized she was better off with her baby father. Okay. The thing is, though, he was cheating with other women, but he didn't want to let her go. So why? Why he didn't want to let her go? Oh, really? He's outside woman fighter. Well, of course she was not going to tolerate that. And there's something about maturity in that. If it's her husband, the younger guy's her husband, and he's inviting other persons in their relationship to the point where he doesn't keep it a secret, he makes it so open. That whole situation is messed up. And again, yeah, as women, we have to be careful who we are getting involved with, not just because he's younger or is the same age group as you, because oftentimes the signs are there. The signs are there, right there in front of you. The guy's violent and you see it from the very beginning. The guy says things and you just allow it to go over your head. Do you understand? The signs are there. It's there, but you just don't want to see. Because you know what? Loneliness is a mother, and we're always breastfeeding, always sucking on its tits. You have to be okay to be alone and to be single. But when you get into a relationship that you know is kind of taboo, hey, Apple, how's my son doing? I'm asking them today if they think that if it's wrong for an older woman to marry a younger guy. Can this kind of relationship work out? Does it always have to end tragically? I did hear that voice note, and I heard someone who is very disturbed, a very disturbed person, and I don't think age different makes a difference with what he was doing, what he did. I don't think it's because if you're saying that he was immature, did she see this? She would have known this from the beginning. She would have known that he was an immature person. Do they plan on having kids? That's the question I was asking earlier, to say, when you meet this person, when I met my husband, I wasn't planning on having any more kids. But after time, when I decided that I wanted to do this, that was an issue for me, to say he didn't have kids. And if this was going to work out, I had to be realistic. Who am I? Why am I so beautiful and so special that this man is going to marry me and forego his chance of being a father? I asked those very serious questions. Do you want kids? Because I don't want kids. But, he said, yeah, I'd want to sense my spirit in a child. And I was like, well, I can't be with you because I don't want no more spirit in my womb. But I changed my mind. So you have to ask these questions, Apple. That person, Mikey, is a very disturbed human being. He was mentally ill. There's something about him. If you listen to the voice note, You listen to a voice note, and that's just that's not a normal person. And as we speak, I'm kind of in the middle of something that is happening, and this is not about age difference. It's about women getting involved with men who demonstrate mental illness, and they're still, sticking with these men, and oftentimes it ends badly if they don't wake up from it. Selfishness is one of the biggest problem with let's say, the older woman marrying the younger man. Not just selfishness from the woman who's older, but selfishness from the man who is telling this woman that he loves her. Oh, they're so beautiful, chasing after her, the effort he makes to chase after this woman, and then to turn around and say she's old and he's embarrassed about her, and this and that, and the older woman marrying this guy, feeling lonely, and then suddenly realizing she's married to an idiot. Of course, he was sending shout outs, and how could he say he was sorry? He's not sorry. What was that, Apple? They even killed, who's that? Tell me some more about that, Apple. So I'm saying it doesn't really matter if the woman is older, the man is older, it can end up the same way. You just have to be very smart about these choices that we're making, having these serious discussions, and be open to understand that it might not work out. And if it doesn't work out, you're not putting too much in that relationship to where you're devastated. Understanding that yes, there's this age difference, and yes, there's a possibility that over time it might not work out. And if it doesn't work out, it's not the end of the road. It's not the end of the world, really. The situation with men killing women is tied in with this. It's the same thing where women are not thinking before they make these choices, and men, younger men are not taking responsibility for their actions. Once again, I don't know. Since I started doing this live on Saturday, I can't see the chat. It keeps going on and off. So if I don't answer your question, name of character. I mean the name Apple. I wonder why they call her that name. And who killed her? Was it her partner that did that? I mean, this whole thing with women getting killed by their partner is just very disturbing, if you ask me. And I really would like some females who find themselves in this relationship with, older women being married. What has the experience been like for you? What is it like for you? And how do people treat you when they see that you're older? How, the partner changes over time? Is he embarrassed when he's with you? And this telltale sign of how long this will last, how often has a lot to do with how this man feels about you when he's with you. How does he treat you when he is around other people? So a while back, I saw this young guy walking with this lady. She was really, really fat, and he was walking through the community, and people were laughing and mocking him. The truth is, when this younger guy goes through the community with his older woman, I guarantee you, if he, is patient and treats her good, and she sponsored him, and he goes to America or wherever in the world they go, when he start making a life with this woman, I'm sure they have no problem begging him money. This is why I tell younger guys, if you marry an older woman and people mock you and scorn you because you're married to this older woman and they wouldn't want it, when they're asking you for your money when you migrate, you shouldn't be giving them. You should be saving the money to take care of the woman that you love, and building a future together. Because if you are ashamed of the person who is helping you, and ashamed of the person who you decided to go pursue, because even if the woman tells you she likes you and approaches you first, you have to say yes. And again, I'm going to say that forever, older men, some pedophilic men, have been dating younger girls, and people accept that, and I don't see the difference. I really don't see the difference, except the fact that the older man can have a baby right up until the day when, he dies. Any questions, any comments? I mean, my chat is blank again. I'm not sure what, if anyone understand, if maybe I have to set something. I'm not sure why it keeps going on and off. Maybe. Or maybe she was a very promiscuous person, Apple. Okay. If she's nurturing, like if you have this chemistry, if you are mature, because I think the typical woman doesn't really go off and marry a guy who's like immature. And if she does, then it's her fault, and whatever happens, happens. Because I've spoken about that in the past, where someone goes to Jamaica on vacation, meets someone on a resort. She's 50 years old and she's dating a 20-year-old guy. You're asking for trouble. That's your son. That is the age of your son. And it might work. It might work for you. I'm not going to tell you. I'm just saying, if that woman comes to me and say, my boyfriend is 20 years old and I'm going to marry him and I'm 55 years old, I'm going to say to her, not that you can't marry him, but I'm saying, why? What is it that he's going to offer you? Or what is it that you want to give him? More than likely, that gap in the age between the two people, you're going to be more of a mother to him. And that's why some men really want to marry an older woman, because he's looking for a mother figure. Same thing with the woman who marries a younger guy. Men in today's life are so wicked, because if you look at the rate in Jamaica, most women and girls, so I think it's a demon going into these young men. There's no demon going in them, Mikey. It's people not taking responsibility for their action. They've always been very cruel, always disrespected women. It's just, we're just hearing more about it. I don't think it's anything new, except that there might be a lot of depression that is coming forward too, because there's a lot of people in Jamaica, they don't deal with depression well. There's hardly any remedy for people suffering with depression, and people don't even know how to recognize the symbols or symptoms with depression. And if truth be known, we see these red flags. We'll probably talk about that. They're red flags. They're right there in front of our faces, and we ignore it. Yeah, like for the typical wealthy black man, they will find a way to Cosby you, really. Why take it out on the ladies? Because Jamaica is not a society that protects women. The government have not set anything in place. Policies are not there to protect women, you know. So the message is often sent that the girls are not valued in our country, and women get abused every single day, and people just turn a blind eye. Women, this is the biggest problem though in Jamaica, is that women don't have solidarity. You see, the moment the women come together and start saying, we're not going to tolerate this, we're not going to allow you to do this to our girls, and we're going to stand with our sister, you'll see less of that. Now, something occurred at one of those hotels recently. I'm told from a few people who are vlogging online that these girls were being raped. There's a guy who works at the hotel, and the guy attacked the two girls in their hotel room. And the gun, somehow they disarmed him and shot him in his arm. And I would like to say to the ladies in Jamaica, these women, I don't know if they're Jamaican living overseas or they're just people from other countries who came to visit. It's sort of a lesson for the women to know. The day Jamaican women start taking things into their own hands, I'm sorry to say it, since there's no one to protect them, if they start coming together and defending themselves, men will think twice about what they're doing. These women sent a very strong message to those guys who tried to rape them. The one girl managed to get his gun from him and shot him. And I wish I could see her to hug her and to give her a nice reward. Because if you're going to continue to violate women, continue to abuse women, continue to act as if women are here to be your stepping stone and your mat to wipe your feet on, then expect the unexpected. The guy was there working at the hotel for only 3 days. Now, me, after I saw it, I was very proud of the girl for, doing what she did. But at the same time, when I heard that the person was at the hotel with two different IDs, I have to wonder if it is just some performance trying to dupe the Jamaican people into signing up for that new national ID, because it's so convenient that this guy go in to rape these two girls with two different IDs, and now people are going to be so frightened that they're going to agree to the system. So as much as I'm thinking this might have happened, my investigative mind start to say how tidy and neat that this guy with two different IDs, then showing the great need to have the national or the NIDS ID. Is this true? Is this just performance? And in this guy who they claim to have tried to rape the woman at the hotel, will he just disappear and we'll never know the truth? Fleshing stone, what is that? Educate me on that, please. Well, what do you mean they wouldn't put their reputation on the line? If it benefits them, why would they not? You'd be surprised the kind of things that people are willing to do, because at the end of the day, they're saying that he was shot and he's caught, so now there's no more danger. The government is saying, work along with us and, do this with us and we'll reward you openly. I just have that kind of mind. As much as I saw it, Alpha, Eve, I thought, wonderful. I wish she had reloaded it and that he never lived to tell the story. So in the interim, I am believing that it's a possibility that happened. But because I have an investigative mind and because the whole thing came up with him having two different IDs, I just, of course, the alarm clock goes off in my mind. Yeah, I have an investigative mind. I don't just believe everything I hear. So I hear it, but then I start to question it, really. But if it did happen, I'm glad the way it ended. And I think they said there's another person that they're looking for. That's what can take woman. Flesh and stone. I still don't know what that is, Apple. That's what them take woman for. Oh, flesh and stone. Okay. Meaning that, you can just abuse her as you wish. So tell me, somebody in this chat, tell me your true feelings about if Apple, would you marry someone who is 10 years older than you? Would you be uncomfortable? And Mikey, I'm assuming that you're a female or a male. Tell me, truthfully speaking, you said yes, you would. And you wouldn't be concerned about what people are going to say. You wouldn't feel embarrassed after you marry her, because sometimes when they get married, as the guy said earlier, as the years pass by, the woman gets older and starts feeling ashamed of her. She might gain weight. Or you're female, and you're saying that you would marry someone 10 years younger or older. Why? Thing is off the screen again. This is so annoying. I think I'm going to have to start doing this on my phone. Maybe there's something wrong with this computer. You like older men. Okay. Well, of course, it's natural. Like when I was younger, it's just a natural thing because you're so used to seeing, girls with older men. This is why I question it all the time to say, why is it okay? The woman naturally marries a guy who's older, more than likely. If she's able to have kids or if I already have kids, okay. But let's say you had a kid, Apple, and she didn't have any kids. She can't have any kids and you already have. Let's say you couldn't have a child together. Would you still do it? You see, the kids play a big role in why some people say you shouldn't be doing that. But it's not just about giving birth, because you can have. Okay, let's share this personal story. When I was about 10 years old, there was a teacher at our school. At the time, when I think about it, maybe she would have been like 27, 28 years old. Okay. The guy she married was my classmate. And I know when I was 10 years old, she was a teacher. So at 10 years old, she was already teaching. I don't know what kind of school she was teaching, but she ended up marrying my classmate. And she had no kids before. And so quick, she had, I think they have 3 children. And they have been married for over 20 years. For over 20 years, they're married in a very stable, happy relationship. I don't know when I'm going live again, so I'm going to ask you. I don't know how this works. If you just set notification or something on my channel, so when I go live, you know. I will marry someone 10 years younger if he already have out his kids and agree to be with me. Okay. Yeah, maybe. For me, there was a time when I thought that I still want more kids, but I'm not going to have more kids. Obviously, I'm older. And there was time when I thought about surrogacy. I thought about having a surrogate. There's so much involved with that, and that can be very dangerous to a certain extent. You know, there could be trouble in the camp after you do that. It's risky. At the end of the day, though, I'm saying that not every man marries a woman, older woman, because he's looking for an opportunity to go away. And not every younger guy wants a younger woman and is just using the older woman. It's not true. And when I hear older women sometimes come out and say it, and I've seen that in my own experience, someone say, oh, don't marry this person because he just wants to use you. A man can use you even if you're the same age as them. And the very person who is criticizing you for marrying a younger person, eventually later, years later, you see them messing around with younger guys who don't even want them. So you find someone who wants to marry you, you find commonality, you feel like there's a connection, you have mutual respect for each other. Here's the thing though, that I want to say before I go, is that if you are in the States or wherever you are in the world and you meet this younger man, you have to do your test. You have to do your test. And if the person is just getting together with you because they want to travel, you have to do your test to see if that's the case. Because if it is, there's ways to find out. Maybe next time I'll do a video on how to find out if the person is just trying to get a green card or just trying to date you for your money or things like that. There are signs, there are red flags. If you are in a long distance relationship with somebody who's much younger than you and you're contemplating marrying the person, maybe you should tell the person that you're going to move back to live with them. And if all they want is green card, I want someone to take care of them. If you have money and you're dating a younger guy, I suggest that you do not let this man know you have money. You have to tell him that he's going to have to work and he's going to have to support you. Again, if you tell him he has to support you overseas, he's going to say yes, because he doesn't care. He just wants to get there. So I was asked to set up someone recently, and I was seriously looking for a partner for this guy. But I was taking my time, trying to make sure the fit was right with who I introduced him to. And there was one female that I met on YouTube that I was going to set him up on. But I asked him the question, well, you know, exactly what are you looking for in a partner? And he says, it doesn't matter. And I said, what do you mean it doesn't matter? Like, you don't care if she's 300 pounds. You don't care if she's black or white. You don't care. He says, I don't care. I'll work with it. I didn't like the sound of that. I said, what do you mean? I mean, I would want to introduce you to someone where there's a possibility that it might work out. It might not. But at least there's a fair chance that this might work out between you and this person. And he said it didn't matter. So I did not introduce him to that person. I didn't introduce him to that person because he said it didn't matter. So I know if it doesn't matter, it's because you're entering it with the wrong reasons, for all the wrong reasons. If your gut tells you this person is in it for the wrong reason, then you shouldn't be doing it, regardless of age difference. I can't have any more kids, but I love kids, so I personally would be with a younger man who have young kids. Okay. You have to check out his relationship with the mama of those kids to see if they're still together. Yeah, Mikey, that was a red flag for me. He says, I don't care if she weighs three. He says, I'll work with it. You work with what? This is someone's life you're playing with. I'm not going to introduce you to someone who you're going to use. It might not work out, but I'm not going to know from the beginning that you're just looking for an opportunity and introduce you to someone. Yes, he doesn't want no pony. He just wants to come to foreign. He just wanted to migrate. He's like, I don't care how she look, what she look like. I just want to get to. Well, that same female, and I don't know if she still watches my channel, she eventually met someone in prison. And it's the craziest thing I hear. So the age difference doesn't even matter. She was going to date someone who was in prison. And I thought that was crazy. And he was there in prison for killing somebody. So women are not thinking, we're acting desperate, not rationalizing, not working out these things, sometimes because we're lonely. Sometimes we have this fantasy about Caribbean men or African men and thinking that men are men, regardless of where they come from. And if a relationship is going to be working out, you have to sit down and have this, conversation. You have to have these realistic conversations, and you have to be able to ask the question 10 different ways, the same question. I know for myself, with my partner, I asked him the same question 10 different ways. And if the answer was still going to remain the same, you've got to do your test. You've got to do your test. Otherwise, you're going to find yourself in some terrible situations. Just like he's supposed to test you, really. Any questions about my own situation? I don't mind answering depending on what it is. Feel free to ask. I'm trying to convince my husband to do a live with me, or at least a video talking about what it was like being in a long distance relationship, or what it's like, having a marriage with someone who's 10 years older. Perhaps it might help some people who are, interested in doing the same. Yeah, he's very shy and doesn't really like the camera, but I think I can cajole him into doing it. Because especially now, especially where women around the world are seeing Jamaican men are so desirable. You was not scared he would cheat on you? No, I was not scared. It never occurred to me in the years that he was there, because I told him that, first of all, I remember I said the day when we were getting married, I said, you can back out of this. The last minute, if you feel like this is not what you want, if you say you're going to do this, or this is what you're expecting, and then you get scared, back out last minute. I don't have a problem with it. I also told him that I know who I am, I know what my worth is, and I remember saying that you can cheat, you can have a relationship with someone else if you like. Just understand that there are consequences. So if you choose to go out, it's your freedom to do that, man. God bless you with that nice phallic symbol that he gave you, and my name is not on it. So you can freely use it any way you like. Just know that there's a consequence for doing that. Because I don't have time to worry about a man if he's going to be faithful to me. I didn't think about those things. I know who I am. I know I am faithful. I know that I'm disciplined to the point where I could spend so many years as a single person, celibate. So he would have to know. I know within myself that it would have been his loss. To this day, it's his loss If he goes out and he cheats, be prepared to stay with the person that he's cheating with. Yeah. What do I think about polygamy? That is a very interesting thing these days. Very interesting. I don't like to judge people, and I think anything adults get into, any relationship people are in, where they're making consenting adults are in, I have no problem with it. In terms of polygamy, I don't say I'm insecure or anything, but I personally couldn't work with the polygamy thing, because if I enter the polygamy relationship and my husband is able to take two wives, I'm taking two men. It's just, I'm just an equal opportunity offender. So if he wants to, and I think a lot of men who are into polygamy, they're very selfish. They're not doing it for economic reasons. Now, let's just say they have decided that this is how our family is going to grow and build. I think I heard one argument where they say you're actually building wealth with this kind of type of family. If it works for them, that's fine. If everybody in that situation is happy with that choice, I've got no problem with it. But you got two women, I'm getting two men. So when you are going off to the other women, I got two men taking care of me, fanning me and feeding me with grapes, and you know what I mean? Every time you're gone to the other woman, and if you have three women, I want three men. I don't know how I'm gonna pull it up. That's why I know I can't do it. So let's all go. Let's all be in the polygamy situation. Why should you? How does polygamy work to where you get to be servicing all these women, and I get to wait on you till it's my turn? I'm just, no, it's not for me. But if I know you're in it and it's working for you, and the women that are in it are happy with it, who am I to complain? Who? Huh? Who am I to tell you that you can't have two women? Because every time you go off to another woman, if I'm in that situation, you're coming home to find me with an ex-man. That's all there is to that. We all live together in the same house, big happy home. Right now, as we speak, a situation is unfolding with someone who thought they could live through that. And it's very dangerous, because a lot of times women, in their desperation for love, will agree to these terms. But then the same woman who say it's okay, they're jealous. They're feeling insecure about the other woman. And oftentimes it doesn't end very well. For those who it works out for, that takes great discipline on the path, on the part of all that is involved, or all who is involved. It's just not for me. Maybe I'm just too jealous. Anyone here? I think it's a silly question, because the typical, and again too, when you think about it, when it comes to polygamy and whatever, it's cultural. There are places in Africa where you can't even imagine this not being the case, right? There are people who, for them, this is the reality of their life. But I think it's in a lot of places where people are very poor and women are vulnerable, and women agree to these kind of situation because they figure the man is in a position to take care of them. And again, there are Jamaicans in Africa who are involved in this kind of relationship also. I've seen it. I know of a female who went to Africa with her husband on a vacation, and he, tricked her into staying. He had two other wives that she didn't know he had. And guess what? When the two other wives started having kids, they were African. They were born in Africa, so they were accustomed to that. When they started having kids, she couldn't have any kids, so they started mocking her. They started treating her badly, and as a result of that, she left. She fled and went back to Jamaica. Even though she was living in England, she went to Jamaica to live, because the other wives were treating her badly. For one, she was not from Africa, and she couldn't have kids. So if you know someone who's in this kind of relationship and is working out for them, you say big ups. But I think there are people who say they're in polygamy relationship and they're lying. They're not. They're just trying to impress people with their stories, but they're not. They are just in a relationship with each other. Anyway, I think it's now an hour and 4 minutes. I started out asking the question, if it's wrong for an older woman to marry a younger guy, really, and how different it is. How different is it from a man, which is a history and many, many centuries of men doing that. Just before I go, any other last questions for me? Any other comments before I go? Okay, Mikey. Is it Mickey? Is it Mick or Mike? Um, Single for 6 years. Is that by choice, Mickey? Bye, DJ. Um, I'm now single for 6 years. Are you single for 6 years because you have met anyone? Or are you single for 6 years because that's how you want it? You're taking your nice time, getting used to your being alone. Bye, Alpha. Take care. Mikey, are you still there? Or Mickey, you still there? Are you single for 6 years because it's your choice, or you just haven't met anyone worthy of your time? Okay. Oh, I haven't gotten it yet. I got a notification saying that, oh, good news. I have your DNA, whatever. When I checked it out, they're just telling me they just received it. So I don't know how much longer I have to wait for it, Apple. Okay, okay, Alpha. I'm not sure how much longer I have to wait for it, but I'm very anxious to get it. Alpha. So how do you feel about, you said you date a younger guy, but how much younger? Okay, what is the cutoff? This is another question I have. How young is too young? If the person could be my son, I'm not doing it. Even if I was of childbearing age and the person, it's just too creepy. I wouldn't feel comfortable having this person around my daughters. No, 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 no. It's a no-no for me. I'm not telling a woman that she shouldn't do it. I'm just telling her be realistic. Be realistic with it. If you're asking, if you're 30 years older than the guy, 35 years older than this person, um, you know, if you're into threesomes, or if you're into open relationship, then it will work. Otherwise, it won't. If the person can be your child that you would have given birth to, unless you gave birth to a child when you were 10. But if you are a person who had a kid at 18 or above, and the child is the same age as your partner, you're asking for trouble. Anyway, that's it. Thank you for joining me, everyone, and put your notification on. I didn't meet anyone that I really wanted to be with. After a couple of dates, I realized that it's not for me. Oh, that's the worst. Truthfully speaking, when I finally decided that I wanted to date other people, what I was finding was not so inviting. Okay, 5 to 12 years older. Okay. When I look at my husband and I have this conversation all the time. Our daughter is now 10. And we always joke about it. So when I was her age now, he was a newborn. And when I look at my 10-year-old daughter, and she's just pretty much like me, when I look at my 10-year-old daughter, we still do everything for her. She's very, a young little kid. She's a kid, just like I was a kid. When I was 10 years old, I'm still playing with teddy bear and still have someone bathe me and comb my hair. I was a little girl. Okay, you date someone from 40 years up. Anyway, we'll come back again. I say if you have questions for me, if there's a topic you want us to talk about, we started out with one thing here, but just played around the topic. That's fine. Getting to know you, and you're getting to know me. Stay blessed, everybody. Just waiting for everyone to say good night before I log off. Just say GN, and I know you're there. Good night. Sleep tight. Don't do what I wouldn't do. No, just do whatever Whatever makes you happy. Don't let people control you. Good night, Apple. Good night, Alpha. Good night, Mikey. Live your own life and don't let people dictate the terms of your happiness. If it's working for you, let me tell you, I'm very happy that I made the choice. Yeah, I will. I'm very happy I made the choice to be with my partner. And I'm glad that I didn't listen to anyone. At first, I started listening to a relative, and then I changed my mind. I said, you know what is my life? And truthfully speaking, it's the best almost 12 years um, of my life, really, with this person. And there's no guarantee down the road. Things can happen. Things can happen. Just follow your dreams, follow your mind, and be true to yourself. Good night, everyone.